It's the J Bass Today Show. Get ready for a good time, a good time. It's the J Bass Today Show. Get ready to ride.
Season's greetings. God bless you to each of you. Welcome to the J Bass Today Show. I am so excited to have my special guest here with me this evening, Elder Rodney Howard. How you doing, brother?
Jay, I'm doing well, man. I have been blessed, and God's just been good to me. I just want to tell him thank you.
What you say? I know you're right. So much to be grateful for, my brother. So much. You know, I have been following you for quite some time. I just love the encouraging posts that you post, and I recently saw that you celebrated 50 years in music ministry. I just want to know how that felt, what it was like, what happened, just give me some details.
Well, I tell you, Jay, it's 15 years old. I actually started playing for churches, uh, and I always enjoyed. I've always enjoyed church growing up. I enjoyed the choirs. I enjoyed the directors. I enjoyed the music. That was always a thing when I was a child. That I'm 19 years old. I was in the junior choir and all those things that we did. Then the Lord called me, even at 15, to just start working with choirs. And from then on until this day, I've been working with various choirs all over West Tennessee, Northern Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, all over the place. And I've been blessed to be able to play with some great people. I got to meet Angela Spivey. I got to meet Leanne Fain. I got to play for Edgar O'Neill and O'Neill Twins, and so many people that I've gotten to meet in the day. And I was just blessed that one of my choir directors at one of the churches thought about me enough. Her name is Lenise Trotter. She thought about me enough to say, you know what? You've been around 50 years. You need to be recognized. And I just appreciate it.
Yeah, that is definitely worth recognizing. And I'm seeing some similarities because I played for my first church at the age of 15. So I gotta keep it up in about another 25 years so I can catch up.
Well, I tell you what, with the talent you have, I tell you, you've been caught up real quick anyway. I mean, I've watched your music, I listened to it, and you are just dynamic. God has truly blessed you with a gift. Truly blessed you with a gift. So many people have come out with talent, and there's difference. There's difference. You got a lot of talented musicians, but you have very few who are truly gifted in what they do, and what they do that's going to last. One of the things that I guess I always have issue with is that music sometimes doesn't last. You know, you have for a while and then you stop. And I tell my choir members now, I said, there are people now who sing, what did they do 6 months ago? They were still there, you don't remember. But I'm one of I may be a little old school, but I grew up enjoying Hawkins. I grew up enjoying Richard Smallwood. I enjoy, all those guys. And today they still are relevant. Which, a lot of times music is a year from now, it's not, this year's not relevant anymore. And that's the issue to me. That's the issue to me. I grew up in Chicago, so I learned a lot about gospel music. I was in that I call I-55 the gospel expressway, because if you go from Chicago to St. Louis to Memphis to New Orleans, and you go within 200 miles of that, pretty much all the gospel that was out, except what was in California, was created. You got the Detroit sound, you got Atlanta sound, even as far as Texas, so you got that sound that was close. And I've always appreciated the history of that, and I want to always keep that in the forefront of what we do in our ministry. I think a lot of times we forget whence we came from. I listen to your music, I hear a lot of old school in your music. Even though I know, you try to, tweak a little sound, but I hear a lot of old school, and that's something that will last. That's something people are not going to forget. No disrespect to some of the artists nowadays, but when you do something and, hey, 6 months later, a year later, who are they? What did they do? Oh, I don't know. That bothers me. That's one of the biggest things that bothers me in the frame of professional gospel music or church gospel music. I mean, because there's also a difference. Church music, and I heard this from, I think Bishop shared, there should be a different sound in church music, in music you play in church, than you play in the world. There should be a difference in what you say in church music and what you do in the world, because there's no need of coming to the church if you're going to keep the world in there. You can just stay out in the world. And you don't really come to Christ with it. We're not, the important thing for, I think, both of us is our music wants us to relate to coming to Christ. And until we get that point in our lives, we'll be better off. And I'll rant on for a minute about that. So,
well, you can always tell when someone is passionate about something, and to hear, the sharing about watching and growing up with the choir directors and the musicians and enjoying being in a choir, I hear so many similarities and that old school. I've shared this. It's not because I feel like I'm holier than thou or any of that, because I made plenty of mistakes. But for me, I don't know a lot of secular music. The only music that I've learned is through school, mainly. And it's because I just was drawn, even from a young age, to church music, to choir music. I love hearing a good mass choir. Chicago is one of my favorite cities. And so, of course, I love the Chicago Mass Choir and Mississippi Mass, Colorado Mass. It's just so many of those mass choirs that poured into us good, solid music, as you're saying, music that will last, music that we're still singing, the music that they recorded in the 80s and 90s, and it's still relevant today. A lot of churches, I realize now why some musicians would get caught up on singing some of the same songs every Sunday, because some of this new stuff, as you said, it just fizzles out, and you take all that time to learn it, and it just doesn't hold the weight that some of those songs that you go back to, that you have to pull back to really get things going. And so I definitely appreciate you sharing that and your thoughts on that. Surely after 50 years, you have seen some things in church. I know it has not been easy working in the church. A lot of people, we want to direct. We want to be the musician. We want to teach the choir, but we don't often realize what comes with that. And usually the minister of music outside of the pastor is the one who deals with the other biggest group in the church. Now, the pastor deals with everybody, but the minister of music usually, especially if you have a choir, deals with the next largest group in the church. And a lot of times dealing with all those personalities and different levels of faithfulness and commitment, it's not easy. And then you're talked about for the music that you bring and all of this. And so, I want to see, one of my thoughts about this show and the motto of this show is, I am encouraged to encourage. And so would you take time to encourage a musician who's just getting into this, who doesn't realize, that there are going to be some trials. There are going to be some things that come up that make you sometimes even want to give up on your music, even though you're so drawn to it. It's dealing with the people sometimes that causes you just to want to throw up your hands and be done with it. But what would you say to someone who may be struggling with their music ministry and they're just beginning?
First thing I'm going to tell them, and I'll give them the bad part. We're the only ministers that people want to tell us what to do.
Uh-oh. Well,
the pastors can preach on Sundays and well and fine and going, but we're the only ones that people want to tell us what to do. However, what I encourage every person to do, what I encourage every musician, first to pray and ask God to give you discernment on what needs to be done in your particular choir, whether it's a community choir, whether it's a church choir, or whatever, because there's a difference. There's a different type of people that you reach in a community choir than you would in a church. There's a different type of thing. You have to be able to, the first thing is pray. The second thing is, don't let the naysayers Don't let the folks who talk about you, don't let the folks who laugh at you put you down. Because see, when they decide, the reason that they do that a lot of times is because, number one, they want what you have. It may be a little small church. I play for a small church in Memphis, but I promise you, I can put them up against anybody.
Okay.
9 and 10 of them, I'll put them up against anybody.
Okay.
We went and we tried to make some temple. I mean, just a few. We've done it, and I have no problem with that, because what I try to instill in them, what I tell musicians also, instill in your choir that what Barack Obama always said: yes, you can. Yes, you can, because God expects nothing less than the best from you. Give him your best. If you're just a plump piano player, give him your best. You might not be able to teach the eloquent chords that somebody else does. You may have to, your harmony may be just simple 3-part harmony, A, B, C. Give them your best. If if you come in and play twice a month, when you come to rehearsal, have your mindset, give them your best. And when you do that, that's when God will uplift you. And the thing about it is, musicians, he wants to uplift you. He wants you to be a part of, because the more that you do, the more you uplift him, the more he blesses you. And I promise you, I've been blessed in 50 years. I never played for the big dogs, so to speak, but I've been blessed in the 50 years of the people that I've been able to play for, and the ones that have actually come back to me and said how, what I've done has touched them. And that was the thing. When I got to meet you, and I got to meet you, and and all those things at the Gospel Songwriters Conference, my mind ran back. My mind ran back, because I saw people who wanted to encourage. It wasn't like, well, we were trying to get an album together, but there was an idea of encouragement. And that was for my heart. And that really meant a lot to me. So I'll tell any other musician, encourage yourself. You know whatever God has for you, it's going to be for you. It's going to be the best. But encourage your choir, push your choir, engage them, make them feel like that they are the best thing around. Even though it might not be, make them feel good, because they feel good. They want to do. I've learned that and I have to tell this story. There was a lady this Sunday who actually kind of sung her first song, and she really didn't do the whole song. We just kind of did a little ditty together in it. And she was nervous, but I encouraged her. I just told her, I said, we can do this. Not you can do, we can do this. Yes. And I was able to lead her through it even on Sunday morning. And she felt better about it, where she wants to try to sing something else.
Okay.
And this is a woman who's 60 years old, never really sung a song in her life. But if you say we, it has to be a we. It can't just be the directors doing everything. It can't just be the musicians doing everything. It really just can't be the Mr. Music doing everything. It's a together, it's a partnership. And yes, there are roles in the partnership, but they have to be in the same mind. Somebody has to be the lead, of course, but they need to be, if they're never in the same mind, it's never really going to work. So that's what I want to say about one thing. But one thing I did want to bring up, and I know you talked about the community choirs in Chicago. Don't forget the church choirs, Cosmopolitan, Church of Prayer Choir, Father Hayes. Don't forget Clay Evans. And people like that. And like I say, you come to Memphis, don't forget Gilbert Patterson. Various places. So the church choir, which is kind of dwindling now, but I think church choirs are always needed. Church choirs are always needed. It's good if you have a praise team and you have 2, 3 people too, but to encourage everyone, not just the congregation, but encourage those inside that group that may be a little timid, that may not want to do, but still want to uplift the Lord. Mm-hmm. You need the church choirs. You need the church choirs. That's my rant for that as well. And that's to encourage musicians, work all of them, do all of them that you can. And it's better for you, because it gives you opportunities to be diverse. I'm old, I'm 65 years old this year, and I can do some of the stuff the young people do. But I get around them, so I can learn a little bit more. But of course, I can do a lot of stuff that older people do. I'm around them, I learn a little more. The ones close to my age, I know those, because I end up working with them where I try to meet them at their level, but yet identify that still it's what God plants through you as the minister of music. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. When God plants something through the pastor and he plants it to the congregation as being a minister of music, you have to identify what the pastor's doing, what his message is, and do it in music. And when we all work together, it does well.
You know, one thing that you said that really stood out to me is being able to identify those who may have a special gift and have never used it. Just to think that the sister in your choir is 60 years old and never led a song, but you know, because of your encouragement, she has stepped up and stepped out, and you know, and now wanting to do more. That is a blessing. That really is a blessing, and it, you know, that really speaks to me volumes of you being a minister of music. And one of the things that you also said that really stood out to me, because I just saw a post. Normally, if I see something, it's right when I log into Facebook, going to make my own post, and I'll see something. And this particular post was by a fellow musician here in Houston who posted a meme about how music has taken us so many places. And I hear you talking about all of the many people that you've been able to work with, and just thinking about where you've been able to travel, what you've been able to do in these 50 years. It's all because you were a musician, because you had that love for music, and doors open because you love music. And it caused you to be able to go and share the gift abroad. And so, you know, that in itself is a blessing. I think sometimes we don't realize just how blessed it is just to be a musician and the doors that are open to us. I think about a lot of the places that I've been able to travel and things I've been able to do because of music. And, you know, being a full-time musician, it really has opened doors. And so I honor God for the privilege of music and to be able to go and to share it, just like we met at the Gospel Songwriters Conference. You know, things like that are truly a blessing because it brings those who are like-minded, who have that same love for gospel music. And there is a difference. You know, you were saying earlier about this praise and worship. You know, I had a musician to kind of go against me when I posted something about the music that we choose to sing during praise and worship. It is my conviction that praise and worship music should be about God, period, right, and blank. And the only time that, you know, I see us singing to the congregation is when we're inviting them to praise, when we're inviting them, just like, come on and bless the Lord with me. Things like that. You know, I sing that often because, come on, let's bless the Lord together. But what I love about even that song is the hook is hallelujah. And that only belongs to God. But one of the songs that was a big one, is a big debacle about it, was We're Blessed in the City by Fred Hammond. Yeah. When I hear that, none of the lyrics point us to God. Now, you know, if you're spiritually mature, you realize that you're blessed because of him. But we're talking about us being blessed and being blessed in the city. And even casting down strongholds, sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. In nowhere have we said anything about God. Nowhere have we said anything about specifically lifting him up. And so, you know, when I hear you talk about the songs that we choose and the songs that have stood the test of time, you know, there are some hymns that we can sing for praise and worship, because
I was just getting ready to hit because what about How Great Thou Art?
Oh yeah.
Now that's not a praise and worship song. Talk about how great God is.
No, I don't know what is. Yeah. And it's
nobody wants to do it.
So you're talking directly to him. How great thou art.
Yeah. You are. Yeah. When you were saying that was a song that's running through my mind. And those things are things that affect, and I think that the dilemma is there's a difference in what affects your heart emotion and what affects your flesh emotion.
Oh, wing.
So you have two emotions. It's not all one thing. What afflicts our flesh will make us jump up and down, and and you forget. What makes your heart is something that's going to have you decide at the end of the day that there's got to be a change in my life. There's got to be something different. See, because one thing I learned also is, Jay, and all the stuff that's going on with me now, I don't take any credit for it. I don't take a bit of it. I talk about, yeah, I did this, but if it wasn't for the grace of God,
absolutely,
allowing me to do it, give me the opportunity to do it. That's what I learned to not take credit. That's why you don't see a lot of time where, I'm doing A, B, and C, and then, I mean, this was hard for me to say, that this is happening for me, because I don't want to say, well, I'm applying who I'm doing, so because A, first, your gift will make room for you if it's truly a gift. B, if you are humble, God will uplift you. But if you're haughty, God will never put you in a position, to do anything. Like you're very humble. It's not, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I don't ever hear that. I'm traveling here. You slip places, and you just say that when you talk by time, you're back, because it's of God. And I think, as we talk about in praise and worship, it has to be of God. If it's not of God, it's not really praise and worship. One thing I remember, and I know you remember, if you've been in church most of your life, before we had official praise and worship, okay, we had what we call devotion, right? And that was when the deacons would pray, sing, and all. And most of the things that they did were, a charge keep. I had a God to glorify, a never dying. So songs like that, we missed that, and we, kind of got around to other things. And I'm also going to say this, okay, for us where we are, praise and worship was really not our thing. We received that from other places, and we decided to bring it in our, because that was not, I mean, if you think about it, if you've grown up as a child, you don't remember it is ooh, why are we doing a thing? But the other churches, charismatic church, other churches who did that thing, and the reason they did that at the beginning, because they didn't have choirs. They didn't have but a few people. But as the church grew, they just kept that little choir there, and the church began to grow. That's where the praise and worship actually came, and then it kind of filtered into the Afrocentric church. It's real popular. So I'm a little, I am somewhat Afrocentric, whereas I like other stuff, but I still like our stuff. Okay, I don't ever want our stuff to die. I don't ever want our stuff to die. Our hymns, our spiritual songs, our gospel. I don't want that to die, and that's the other thing that I'm pushing so hard, because we're in a generation. If we don't remember who we are, we still don't know who we are in Christ. Our experiences as where we are different than others. Even we might not have the same thing as our grandmama, but we got that. We got it in our DNA. Okay, we got where our grandmama was in the field in our DNA. We got where our granddaddy was beaten and whipped in our DNA. We have that where grandma couldn't read in our DNA, but she still knew God. And those things are things that, as musicians and whatever, we have to always remember when we start doing things. Keep our DNA. I'm not trying to say don't do other stuff, but don't forget. Don't forget. And that's one of my issues. Don't ever forget where you come from. I don't care how popular you are. We got, right now we got in Memphis, we got the number one gospel group in America. Great guys, But I still tell him, don't forget where you come from.
That's right.
Because if you forget where you come from, you don't know where you're going. Especially in God. If you don't know that God is the one that blessed you, gave you all this stuff that you're able to be number one, and you give him that praise first. And don't let it be just entertainment. That's just me. I'm sorry. I can get on a rant for that for a while, because it's just I see that as a challenge in the church, and especially in the music department of the church. The farther we move away from God, the hymns, like you said, the praise and worship, when we're moving away from God, people are not coming for God. They're coming for the entertainment. They're not coming to get anything but just a feel. And I want you, if I was able to do anything, if God allowed me to be able to do anything, I want to make sure that you're not the same when you leave that door.
Yeah.
Doing the best I can to say you're not the same. There's something different in that person that makes me want to be a little bit different. There's something in that person. There's something in Jay. That's why I appreciate you so much. I listen to you, Jay, and I watch you because there was something in you when I met you that, you know what, I want to be a little bit different. And you helped me. You did some stuff. I can tell you that you did. You really don't know. Just by being there, it made me be different. It helped me to be stronger. So, so I want to say thank you as well.
Wow. Well, bless you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Sometimes we're struggling behind the scenes to make ends meet and to do that traveling and make the trip. And we don't sometimes see how it was worth it to show up. But then when you hear someone say something like, well, what you've shared tonight, it makes it all worth it. It really does, to know that, what God allowed you to do did have some impact. And so I bless and praise God for that. Brother, I honor God for allowing us to have this time together. We've had an amazing conversation. I just have so much respect and admiration for you for serving for 50 years in the church. That is a huge accomplishment. And, just to continue, the fact that you're continuing in service to God. I think about songs that we sing, like, and I promised him that I would serve him until I die. Yeah.
On the battlefield. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I live. And what a statement, what a declaration. And so thank God for you, brother. Do you have any final closing, encouraging words for those who will hear this?
I do. First, can I get a shout out to the Providence Baptist Church of Memphis, Tennessee?
Okay.
And the Corinthian, who's pastored by Marcus Payne, great pastor, and also the Corinthian Baptist Church that's pastored by Albert Mack that I serve at. So I got to give a shout out to them.
All right.
I think the thing of it is, my last thing is stay close to God.
Well, you got to.
Stay close to God. That is the most important thing. Stay in your word, read your Bible, pray, take some time and talk to God every single day. And if you can do that, and don't just talk to him. Sometimes take the time to listen. That's it. Take the time to listen.
Well, Elder Rodney Howard, I bless God for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the J Bass Today Show. God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.
It's the J Bass Today Show. And if you change your attitude, you can change your life. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I found out. Now I'm telling you that it's your attitude. I have an attitude of gratitude. Lord, you've been good to me. Yes, you have.